Hi ladies, hello. Thank you for being here today. Okay, today we have one of my favorite topics, and that is about exercise. I love nutrition and exercise, but I really love talking about training and the importance of the types of training that we're doing as women going through any kind of hormonal fluctuations, or if you are in post-menopause, and why it is crucial to incorporate sprint interval training into your regimen. I have 6 key points that will explain the why of why it is so important that we incorporate it, and all the benefits you can expect from it, and how to do sprint training. So let's just get into it. My name is Cynthia Williams. I am an integrative nutrition practitioner. I have been in the wellness industry for well over 20 years now. So I've done all the diets, I've tried all the exercises, and I have finally landed in a really, really good spot where it's just the foundational pieces. Basically, there's nothing fancy, there's no magic pills, there's nothing tricky to it. It's just doing the foundational pieces and getting really consistent with them. And that is what I teach my clients. And that is one of the key components today that we are going to talk about, and that is sprint training. It is a foundational piece that should be a part of your weekly exercise regimen, and we're going to get into it. I have a lot of notes today because I want to make sure that I hit everything for you. And if I sound a little nasally, which to me I really do, I apologize. I'm getting over the flu and it just kicked my butt, but I'm here and we're going to move forward. So here are 4 things to think about when it comes to sprint training. So sprint training, let's back it up first. What is sprint training? So sprint training, SIT training, sprint interval training, is true high intensity training, meaning it's very short and it's very sharp. The types of classes where you see people advertise like the Orange Theories or your F45s, that interval HIIT training, that is not HIIT training. It is not, the way that the class is programmed out is not HIIT training. It's what we would call medium intensity training. But SIT training increases testosterone and it increases human growth hormone. Both are needed to build lean tissue. Both rapidly are declining as we're going through perimenopause and postmenopause. So we have to find outside stimuluses once we're at this point in our life to stimulate change. And we do this through exercise and nutrition. Once women reach a certain point in their life, you're no longer getting that hormonal communication to do that, to provide that stimulus. So you have to go to external factors to provide it. SIT training is a great one for hormones. So it increases HGH, it increases testosterone, it decreases estrone, which is the type of estrogen that helps to promote fat storage, abdominal fat storage. So that's a good thing. And then it also helps to control cortisol levels. So in and of itself, those 4 key factors when it comes to hormone are huge when it comes to sprint training. Sprint training means that you are at 85% or higher of your max heart rate. And you typically don't hold that any longer than 30 seconds. That's what I mean. It is short and it is sharp and it is hard. Okay, so that's where you can see your difference between doing sprint training and going to one of your boot camp classes where they're running longer intervals. It's not going to be as short and as sharp. These are also done in shorter periods. So your workout, typically if you're just doing sprint training, is about 20 minutes, warm up, work, cool down included in that 20 minutes, because you are working so hard and at such a high intensity level that you can't do it for an extended period of time, and you don't need to. If you're doing it correctly, short and sharp, you are going to get major benefits from that little bit of work, and that's all you need to do. Number 1, SIT can improve body composition. There was a study done on post-menopause women, average age of 69 and older, and they were split into 2 groups. One group did 40 minutes of endurance type cardio, like just, like a Peloton workout or some other kind of workout for 40 minutes twice a week. The second group did a 20-minute SIT workout once a week, and in that they did 8 seconds on, 12 seconds off in that 20 minutes, and that included a warm-up and a cool down. They're not pushing for that entire 20 minutes. And both, over the period of time, both did gain muscle, both groups gained muscle, both lost fat, but only the group doing the sit training lost abdominal fat, which is huge for women in hormonal transitions, right? Because we have that elevated cortisol level and the reduction of insulin sensitivity, which just set us up for visceral fat gain, which is the biggest concern when it comes to putting on weight as we're going through the hormonal transitions, because we have that increased risk of cardiovascular and metabolic disease. And that is because of our increased ability to store body fat so easily. So sit training can break that up and help to reduce that visceral fat that you get just from the natural fluctuations that we have going through peri and postmenopause. It also coaches us to burn more fat while at rest. Because sit training is a high glycogen activity, meaning it is pulling a lot of our glycogen stores, our body is then going to take the carbohydrates that we have and replenish the glycogen stores in our liver, in our brain, in our muscle tissue, and push us to burn more fat at rest, because it knows that you're going to ask it to do that activity again, that high pull glycogen activity of sprint training again. So it's going to build a reserve. Your body is super smart, and it will adapt and acclimate to any kind of stimulus that you're providing to it. So once you've done a couple sit trainings, it's going to realize, okay, I need this carbohydrate reserve and store to be able to do this activity. So I'm going to start burning more fat as fuel throughout rest, throughout the day, to save those carbohydrate stores for a later time. Okay, number two, how does it reduce abdominal fat? Going through perimenopause, naturally we are being set up to store abdominal fat with the increase of cortisol. And that increase of storing belly fat increases inflammation, increases stress on the body. And we're not just storing more like subcutaneous fat, think cellulite. We're storing more abdominal visceral fat, which means fat in and around the organs. So that deep tissue fat, like that visceral fat, actually has 4 times as many cortisol receptors as your subcutaneous fat, meaning it can store a lot more fat a lot quicker. Doing sprint training helps to break that cycle. It helps to reduce the cortisol, it helps to reduce the stress on the body, and it helps to reduce the abdominal fat that we are more prone to store in peri and postmenopause. Number 3 is sit triggers an anti-inflammatory response, meaning when we do this sit, it helps to break up inflammation. Again, all of this is related to cortisol, insulin sensitivity, that abdominal fat storage, but it helps to break up the cycle of creating more inflammation, because if we have elevated levels of cortisol, that's increased stress on the body, which increases inflammation. So if we are doing things to break that cycle, we can reduce the inflammation on inside the body and on the outside. You can see inflammation. I have clients that come to me, and when they turn in their pictures, I can see literally on them the amount of inflammation that they have. Number 4, women going through peri and postmenopause can actually become anemic because they have so much inflammation in them that they are unable to absorb iron very well. And sit training has actually been shown to increase iron absorption and help to reduce anemic or anemic type symptoms that peri and postmenopause women tend to have. This is a big one. It stimulates what's called endothelial growth factor. And why is this important? As we go through peri and postmenopause and we have the reduction of estrogen touches our arteries and our veins. And when we don't have as much estrogen, we start to have hardening, for lack of better terminology, of the veins, meaning that they don't constrict like they need to and they don't open like they need to or as quickly as they need to. And this is one of the contributors actually to women and the cardiovascular disease as they hit in postmenopause. Doing sit training actually increases that viability of our arteries and our veins, making them more pliable, stimulating that growth factor and that health. It lowers blood pressure. It increases cardiovascular capacity. It reduces hot flashes. It just allows you to tolerate temperature changes better as well, because you're able to constrict and open those vessels as needed. Okay, number 6 is sit training will actually make you smarter. As we, again, are going through peri and postmenopause, we have a decline of estrogen, and that estrogen touches the brain tissue. Remember, estrogen touches every tissue in a woman's body. And we have a natural deficit of what is called brain-derived neurofactor. And this is what keeps your brain healthy. This is what keeps the brain, the gray matter in your brain, vibrant. And doing sit training has been shown to stimulate more production of this BDNF. It can help with cognition. It can help to reduce brain fog. It can help you to problem solve better. Lots of research has been shown that when you are doing this interval type training and increasing the BDNF, there is shown a spike in cognitive performance. So sprint training can lean you out, it can make you smarter, it can reduce your chances of cardiovascular and metabolic disease, it can improve if you have anemic type symptoms. It's such a good thing to incorporate. Now, you don't have to do a lot of this, okay? 2 times a week max of this. And like I said, it's short and sharp. So an example of this would be doing 5 to 10 warm-up, 5 to 10 minute warm up on your choice of cardio equipment. I like a bike, and studies show typically women are getting better results on the bike, and that may be because you're able to push harder on the bike without all the impact on the joints and the muscle tissue and the connective tissue like running would cause. But you can do whatever you like. Hill sprints, swimming, jump rope, whatever can get you to that 85% max out effort. Key is remembering it's short and it's sharp, and you are pushing at 85% of your max or higher for that 20 seconds. So what I recommend is if you're doing that 20 to 30 second is you don't like start the timer and then go and try and push. You get yourself up almost to that max heart rate. You hit the go and then you push for 20 seconds. Because if you're trying to get to max in that 20 seconds, it's gonna take you that whole 20 seconds to get to your max. So the goal is a full working max at your 20 to 30 second work period. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you incorporate sprint training into your regimen. I'm telling you, ladies, sprint training with strength training over the age of 40 is the way to go. If you want to see composition changes, if you want to reduce your abdominal fat, if you want to have better biomarkers, better sleep, if you want to just thrive in this second half of your life, you've got to sprint train and you've got to resistance train. Now I'm not telling you that you can't, if you love a good 3-hour run or a 3-hour bike ride on the weekends, or you love your yoga class, I'm not telling you that you can't do those, but those should be peppered in. Your bread and butter should be your 3 times a week of strength training, 1 to 2 sprints a week, and then whatever else that you can fit in. Thanks for being here. Please subscribe. Please share this channel with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.